Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Comic Bobcast, brought to you by theelbowdrop.com, where we drop the elbow on all things sports and entertainment. I am the bad boy, Robbie Fitz, and with me, as always, is The Dark Knight Rises, only after he gets a good look at Bob.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful intro. Thank you so much. You're making me blush. And with us is a special guest from theelbowdrop.com, is the only person who looks good with bat nipples, the Birdman Larry. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you very much for that compliment, Bob.
My pleasure. Welcome to Bobcast.
Thank you. I don't think I would look good with bat nipples, but I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Well, if George Clooney could pull it off, I certainly think you could do a better job.
Well,
Larry would make a fan base.
Nobody stated that George Clooney did a good job with those bat nipples.
They don't want to admit it.
All right, I am stating that for the record. But we will save that from when we get to it. Because tonight we are all about Batman movies.
All the way from Burton to Nolan, we're going to go through all of them and give our little
the Batman. That's from the Batman animated series.
Which we should cover, but I don't think we're going to have time for it tonight. We'll put that on the shelf.
Check it out, though.
It's certainly worth it. Let's dive right into it like we always do here. And we're going to start with the Tim Burton movies, Batman and Batman Returns. We'll begin with Batman. Bob, any thoughts on the Batman before we get really into the nitty-gritty?
My opinion, I feel the Burton duo, the best in all Batman films. Personally, I think Batman was the best Batman movie, and Batman Returns was the best sequel or best follow-up to its original Batman movie predecessor. I loved them. They're my all-time favorite.
All right, that's saying a lot. That takes a pair of elephant cojones to say, but we have addressed how you dislike the Nolan trilogy.
Which is why I cannot wait to get to that, but I'll be nice till then.
Well, okay, we'll have a good time all the way up until then, and then then the fans get to see what Bobs really look like when they're angry. So
I turn purple and shrink.
First Batman, 1989, I believe it was.
Correct.
Good year. Good year.
Best year. Most of us at the Elbow Drop were born that year, for those who don't know.
What a waste.
Great year. So 1989, you got Jack Nicholson at probably his acting peak, my personal opinion. Many might disagree with that. Playing the Joker, cutting himself one hell of a deal with DC to do it, of course. You got Michael Keaton playing Batman, which since then his acting career kind of changed.
He vanished.
A lot of fans, from what I understand, weren't too happy about Michael Keaton being cast as Batman in 1989.
Yeah, I had read a lot of people were mad about that cast.
But Warner Brothers quickly put together a trailer and had released a trailer to ease the
that trailer was great.
ease the fans' concerns, and they quickly quieted themselves.
Oh, yeah. No, Michael Keaton did a great job. I usually classify a lot of the Batman actors as whether or not they played Batman or they played Bruce Wayne, and Michael Keaton, I think, did a pretty good job of both.
Yeah, I love Michael Keaton. Real quick, my reasoning why I think Michael Keaton is the best Batman / Bruce Wayne is because he looked phenomenal in the cowl, and he just worked. He worked in costume as Batman, but my opinion why he was the best Bruce Wayne is because if you look at Michael Keaton, you think to yourself, how? Why the hell would he be Batman? How the hell could he be Batman? That's why I think he did a great job as Bruce Wayne, because people in the comics would look at Bruce Wayne and be like, he doesn't fight crime. He doesn't beat up homeless people. That's definitely not his
It's a very interesting point.
That's why I feel Michael Keaton is the best.
And that's why a lot of fans, when they first started doing the movie, I think were a little upset with the casting.
He's always been this billionaire playboy who fucks bitches, spends his parents' money, and he's curly-haired motherfucker Michael Keaton.
Yeah, you look at
nowhere.
Michael Keaton with his little perm at the top of his head. And
It's curly-headed.
How's this guy going to play Bruce Wayne? But he wound up doing a really good job.
He played the shit out of him.
He did a good job on both fronts. Bruce Wayne.
I love Michael Keaton in the role.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
It was so good he went into a coma after Returns and didn't show up till Birdman came out.
That is true.
Yes, very true.
Or until Tim Burton let him out of his basement.
Even more likely. But I like Michael Keaton. I think we all here have stated that already. His romance aspect of the movies was also pretty good. I mean, I think more in Returns with that, the Catwoman back and forth.
I loved that.
They did a great job. When you talk about the Bale interaction with Catwoman as opposed to the Keaton interaction with Catwoman.
Yes.
Completely different things, and I think Keaton did a great job with that. Overall, as you said, he doesn't look like Batman when he's in Bruce Wayne,
Exactly.
but he looks like Batman when he's in Batman.
Exactly.
I think a lot of that might be attributed to the Burton gloom.
Yes. I think only Burton could have made Michael Keaton pull off the whole Bruce Wayne / Batman persona.
Yeah, he does a great job with that. And I can only guess that it was Michael Keaton's portrayal of Beetlejuice that made Tim Burton want to have him come on as Batman as well, but that's just speculation.
He said, "You know what? This is the guy. All right."
You know what happened? Someone said Batman 3 times, and Michael Keaton showed up. Who should play Batman? Batman. Hey, guys. Oh, shit. Michael Keaton, where'd you come from?
Hey! I got your model right here. It probably came out really loud, but I had to do it
That's
just
okay,
for the fact.
That's okay. They stopped listening by now. Go on. Let's continue.
The Jack Nicholson, he did a very good Joker. The thing I liked about his Joker is that it had the gas, the laughing gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson didn't walk in and say, "I want the gas" or nothing. That's...
Oh, yeah, of course.
He could have.
He probably did.
Yeah, I mean, it probably was all his idea. He said,
You want your gas? Right here. I'm Jack Nicholson.
Who's the Joker?
Hold on to the elevator door. That's a Jim Brewer line for anybody who saw Hardcore.
Oh, so good.
But Jack Nicholson, I loved the laughing gas. I thought some of it was a little cheesy. I didn't care for the Dance with the Devil and the Pale Moonlight. That I was not a fan of.
Yeah, it was random. I feel like he plugged those in. He put in those little one.
It's also one of the few and only Batman interpretations that give the Joker a backstory and make him an actual...
on screen at least.
Yeah, on screen, and make him an actual individual before he becomes the Joker. He was Jack Napier. I guess that's French. I don't really know.
Napier.
Napier.
Jacques Napier.
But he was a henchman to Jack Palance in the movie.
Yes.
I hope I'm not giving away spoilers, but you should have seen it by now.
If you didn't see the original Batman Burton films, you just deserve to go in a cave, see a bat, and just shit yourself and die. Like how can't you?
I'm going to have to agree with Bob.
I'm going to say, what the hell are you doing listening to the comic Bobcast if you didn't watch Batman from 1989?
Yeah, go see it if you haven't.
So, the backstory, Jack Napier, if you will.
Napier.
It was okay.
Well, one thing, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
What you were probably getting at, I'm sorry. What they did in this film was connected Nicholson to being the murderer of Batman's parents, which would later become Batman, which would turn Bruce Wayne into Batman. So Joker made Batman, and Batman made Joker.
Yes.
So
that was something they touched on a lot in the movie, especially
introduced
towards the end.
paradox. I loved it. I never really realized that until recently. I'm like, holy shit!
You made me, and I made you.
Exactly. Loved it. I thought that was a pretty interesting take on Burton.
That was cool. I enjoyed that a lot, especially at the end when they're up in the bell tower and it's like, oh, hey, what are we gonna do here? Like, I made you, you made me. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Needless to say, Batman hit a guy with glasses.
He hit a guy with glasses.
Falcon punch.
One thing I'll say, the ending of that movie was one of my favorites because when the Joker is at, you could interpret it however you want, but most people will say he's dead. When they zoom out, he has a laughing box in his jacket, and it happens to be one of the creepiest laughs I've ever heard in my life. As they're panning out, and you hear,
I love it.
Let's all do it. Yeah.
It is creepy as hell. To this, we'll try to post like YouTube links to that scene and the scene we referenced earlier,
or watch the whole movie up until that scene, because why not?
I mean, you should. If you haven't seen it already, you know what? Just watch the movie. We're gonna put Batman DVD in a giveaway and just try to enter and win it. Okay?
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
It also led to one of my favorite video games of all time for Sega Genesis. It was the Batman movie, but made into a Sega Genesis video game, and it made me very happy. It's one of my favorite games to play. I still replay it.
Not only the video game, the merchandise. I feel if I'm not mistaken, that movie created. I don't know the term of it, but the Batman paradox, the Batman paradigm, something where that movie made Batman so huge and popular and massive. You could put the Batman logo or mention the word Batman with anything, and people would fucking buy it. And I'm one of those people.
They had the superhero Superman movies before that, and
and that did have an effect on the merchandise. Or I guess we can say the advertisement aspect, but I feel like merchandise, let alone corresponding to a movie or even an identity to any kind of character, really didn't kick until Burton produced
Batman.
movies.
Batman and Michael Keaton and Tim Burton took it to another level.
Exactly. I felt only Burton, Keaton. Really
Undoubtedly, they raised the bar.
I absolutely love it.
I absolutely agree with everything you guys just said. Moving along, Batman Returns was the next one from Burton. The last one from Burton. This one was pretty much, I would say it's a little more graphic. And
Batman actually, he kills people in this movie, actually.
Well, technically, he kind of killed Joker.
I mean, but, that's...
That's left to be decided again.
Circumstantial.
But that's like saying...
I didn't kill him.
Yeah,
the statue did.
He clearly kills people.
Gravity killed the Joker.
I was just going to say, that's like saying that, you don't die from a bullet, you die from heart failure. No. Guess what? The guy who shot you, he killed you. I'm sorry.
I remember a specific scene...
Batman kills people.
I remember a specific scene in Batman Returns where Batman was dealing with some leftover clown goons, and he just kind of took a strap of dynamite and tossed the guy down a hole with it.
One of them had a bomb, he threw him in the hole, and he set one on fire.
Yeah.
Really?
So Batman has, in that movie, he killed people. Burton changed the rules.
Yeah, Burton was like, no fucks given. But that was the thing with Batman Returns, I noticed, as you said, Bad Boy. It was much darker. Like, there really wasn't much humor in this one. In Batman, the first one, it introduced how dark Batman
It was
really
almost all film. I mean, the first Batman was very colorful, because I think the Joker. But the second one seemed like it was almost filmed in like a black and white sort of hue. I mean, everything was very gray.
There was so much money put into budgeting they couldn't afford like the lights on the set, like because that was it. Like the first Batman movie by Burton. Because at that point in the comic books and late in the '80s, not only was everything really violent and dark at the time, the comic books were much darker. Frank Miller had produced a lot of really dark, graphic Batman stories. We really got to see how dark Batman was. Brought over and carried into the Burton movie, but then we had Joker, who was colorful, still very comic book, but a dark world, and then we had Returns, and it was just really dark, barely any humor, a lot of funny parts, but
the movie also took place in winter, which for some odd reason I feel really suits Batman.
Christmas and Batman go together.
Yeah, really great. They brought that up in one of the most recent Batman video games. It was Origins, I believe.
Batman Origins took place on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it took place on Christmas Eve. It's very fitting, oddly enough, to have Batman.
Jolly time, and you have not this fat Saint old Nick, but Bruce Wayne being a dick and beating up homeless people.
And the villain in the movie, the Penguin,
as
played by Danny DeVito, who was pretty much built to play the Penguin.
Movie.
Perfect. And also Michelle Pfeiffer, also as Catwoman.
I loved it.
She was a great Catwoman, way better than Halle Berry.
Much better than Halle Berry.
Halle who?
Berry.
You mean Alex Borstein?
Yes.
My problem with that movie was the cat theme was a little creepy to me, but that's probably but not the kind of creepy you want from Batman. It was like, oh, I'm a crazy cat lady. I have cats in my apartment, and now I'm gonna start drinking the milk by licking the bowl. Which, don't get me wrong, I'll watch Michelle Pfeiffer lick anything. That doesn't matter. But just her making the costume even was just like, this is like dirty. It looks dirty to me.
Yeah.
That was Batman Return. Look at Penguin.
His portrayal of Catwoman was very Burton-esque.
Yes, okay.
It was
very Burton-esque. Penguin, that dirty like pajamas he was wearing for a good portion
the
of
onesie was just
yeah.
covered in shit stains. It was just really grim and dark. Not to mention, Penguin somewhat had a bit of an origin story. Burton knows how to fucking do an origin story, and he the Penguin boy working in the circus and children disappearing and being found murdered, but Penguin's nowhere to be seen. Like I loved that. Oh, by the way, Pee Wee Herman was in this movie. He played Penguin's father really shortly.
He did.
When you see him being born, he turns.
Yes, and also Christopher Walken had a role in
Batman,
this movie too.
Fighting penguins, wow.
I enjoyed Christopher Walken. And I mean, you add Christopher Walken to anything, and that's just the cherry on top.
Absolutely. He was my favorite character in the movie Mouse Hunt.
I believe his name was... I believe his name in Batman was Max Schreck, which I love because his name was Shrek. But he wound up playing a big piece of shit that was just into all
He was your typical corrupt douchebag CEO.
Yeah, he wound up turning Catwoman into Catwoman. He got his in the end, not to spoil it.
Yeah.
Again, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
I mean, come on, people. We're talking early 90s.
It was the first VHS tape that I had willingly asked my parents to purchase for me. I didn't see the original Batman at the time. I was maybe 2 or 3 years old. But I saw the Batman logo on the cover of the VHS tape, and I was like, I know who I know who Batman is, and I want this. And they bought it from. I took it home. I still have it to this day, and I rewatched it over and over again as a child.
I remember my uncle being he saw the first Batman movie, but he grew up in the 60s and 70s, so he had the Batman. So he had Penguin played by Mickey Goldmill from Rocky. So I remember him saying he saw some movie in, what was it, 91, 92? This
Thank
movie
you,
came
Burgess
out?
Meredith.
I believe so, yes.
He was walking around and he saw coming this holiday season, and he saw the three of them, and he goes, okay, Michelle Pfeiffer in leather, hot. Michael Keaton is Batman. Okay,
hot.
Cool.
Okay.
Who the fuck is that grimy little thing over there? And he's looking. He goes, oh, he had no idea who he really was. And then he saw the movie and he goes, that was Penguin? And that was one of my uncle's complaints. He felt Returns was a little too dark. It just seemed really, really, really dark, which is why, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I read Burton lost the right to do a third movie. Because it wasn't as...
Every Batman movie is a different interpretation of the lore of the Batman universe, and it's all done in a different way. If you look at Burton's, it's darker and...
with very crude, dark humor.
And a Penguin fit into that. And then if you move on, you have Batman Forever, which was Schumacher.
Which was
Bruckheimer.
Bruckheimer.
They have weird last names. I always get them confused.
Bruckheimer.
It was Jerry Bruckheimer who did Batman Forever.
Yes.
Oh, don't.
But
this one starts getting really dark.
But talking about Batman Returns, I do want to mention that even though it was a great movie, I'm not hating on it, but I will say it was rather ridiculous when they started getting into the penguins with the jetpack, or rocket launchers, rather.
Yeah, the rocket penguins.
Yeah, rocket penguins. In fact, actually, I think there were ones with jetpacks. It
started entering video game territory.
It was a little silly. I remember having the toys, and my brother had the penguin that had the jetpack, the missile launcher, and I had the jetpack one. And we lost that missile in about an hour. But it was like, even though it was a dark, gritty movie, there was still this ridiculous aspect that Batman kind of has, like this ridiculous aspect, these over the top villains.
Yeah.
And also another thing I want to bring up, talking about Burton, he loves his long drawn out intro sequences, and this movie had one just as well. They drop the baby, and it's like, oh, this is a great time to do the opening credits with a long CGI sequence. Well, early 90s CGI, I should say. Let's go down the sewer, and all of a sudden there's a penguin at the end. And why wouldn't you have a penguin in the middle of Metropolis? But, in the sewers, I should say.
Makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. So, it had a Burton feel, it had a dark feel, and it still had that little bit of silly that wasn't enough to ruin it.
I will say though that in my opinion, as ridiculous as the Tim Burton versions of the Batman were, I feel like it was in a way still more realistic than the next two that followed it. I feel like
that was like the end before we really entered full comic book.
I mean, because when you look at it, you have the next two, and it's Bruckheimer and Schumacher, and that just became too comic book to me.
Like, I felt that was where they realized how much money the first Batman movie, wow, we can make so much money off this.
Yeah.
Then they realized, wait, Tim Burton's actually making a movie. He's in full control. We don't like this.
I mean, the original Adam West Batman was very comic booky with the whams and the kapows.
Wow, and holy this Batman. Yeah, no, the plot to Batman Returns was Penguin wanting to kill all the firstborns of Gotham. Like,
very dark.
How dark can you really get?
Very, very, very dark.
He bled oil, like
the plague of God to Egypt in the Old Testament. It was just kill all the fucking firstborn.
It was
children.
Religiously good. It was sacrilegious. Batman Returns.
Absolutely. But I will say about the Adam West trilogy, the Adam West movie, there's something to be said about that, because they knew there was money involved, because all of Batman's villains throughout the entire run of the series and the movie, they were all big-time actors. Every single villain was somebody who was a major actor.
You had Vincent Price playing King freaking Tut, who was made for the series, a useless villain, but Vincent Price
and
played
you
him.
had
And he
Burgess
played
Meredith as the Penguin, and Caesar Romero,
who did not shave his mustache.
He refused
to shave his mustache. They just painted over it. They had two different Catwomen.
Oh, who played Riddler, the Man with 1,000 Faces? What was
Edward Nygma.
No, we know his real name. I can't recall the actor's name right now. Shame on me.
It's all right, man. We all
Yes, it's.
we all forgive you for such
he
things.
is, believe me, they're all famous, I assure you. If you're ever bored, IMDb, the original Batman series, and just enjoy how ridiculous the cast was for all the episodes.
Not to mention the plot of the movie as well.
Well, the plot of the movie, I believe, was they wanted to capture Batman, but their plan, correct me if I'm wrong, was to draw Batman in using Bruce Wayne as bait, and Catwoman. And then they were going to have him step on a launch pad and launch him into a giant octopus.
That was pretty much, you got it. You nailed it.
If I remember correctly, that was, now this,
That's what I got out of
That's
it.
a nefarious plan.
that's some plan.
We didn't take acid yet. That actually was in the movie.
There was so many ridiculous moments. The fact that at the beginning there's a giant rubber shark attached to his leg that he's just
Shark
beating.
repellent.
Shark repellent spray. And then there's some
Because
missile.
that's the thing.
It's like a missile coming at them as they're strapped to a buoy, but they were saved by a noble sea creature. I can't remember it was either a dolphin or a whale. Or
Holy oncoming missiles, Batman.
What about when the helicopter crashed? Thank goodness for this convenient pile of rubber. Like,
It was good
Batman
for
running
the
with the bomb.
time.
Some
It's
days you just
infamous.
can't get rid of a bomb. I mean, those comedically large, with the black round bombs with the tail coming out.
It was just the definition of
fuse.
the silver age of Batman was so demonstrated. And it didn't take, and it was Burton who brought the Bronze Age when Batman really became memorable.
Burton he rejuvenated the Batman series, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of people were very pissed off with the Adam West series and movie.
Oh yeah.
And Burton was the first attempt at what Batman actually should have been all along.
Would you consider Burton being the originator, or let alone you can say the saving grace of making comic books or pretty much comic book material to be taken seriously, like really making it more than just being pictures on pages?
Yeah,
I will
definitely.
say that
Because Superman was campy as fuck, and everything leading up to that was
Okay,
not
Richard
that good.
Pryor
Alright,
in Superman is...
That
okay.
was bad.
It's a
but
gem.
This is actually a really interesting topic to go on with the Superman movies. The times were so different back then, because if you look up the reviews to the Superman movies, nobody said that they were great movies. Nobody said the story was good. Nobody said the acting is good. The thing that blew everybody's mind was these action sequences. These were the greatest movies because they had CGI and action. And nowadays, that's the only thing people don't care about at all. If you look at movie reviews, nobody says, "Oh, you got to see the action. You got to see it." No, we know there's going to be action because we can do that. We can have anything happen.
I want you to tell me a story about somebody that I can connect with on some sort of an emotional level, in the slightest degree.
Yeah, while they're beating the crap out of zombie ninja hookers.
Which is a great thing about Bruce Wayne and
Wait,
Batman.
you guys don't do that too?
Even though we can't relate to being a superhero, we can't relate to being a billionaire. We can relate to suffering from the loss of a loved one, maybe not a parent, but we can relate to seeing the world as it is around us and wanting to do something about it, but not feeling as though we can. And Bruce Wayne was the man to, for the job.
I agree with that. I think that's a good way to look at it overall. Batman's a story that touches everyone. Whether you can relate or not, you still can. So
yeah, it's Batman.
That's absolutely, yeah. And then Batman will be Batman for then, for now, and forever. Batman Forever.
Thank you that was a lovely segue into Batman Forever.
Thank you. I tried my best.
Thank you very much.
Batman Forever is definitely, in my opinion, the most ridiculous. I'm sure we're gonna get into this when you get into Batman and Robin. We'll have that we'll have the argument over what's more ridiculous. I'm gonna say right off the bat, the bad boy feels Batman Forever was the most ridiculous. You had Tommy Lee Jones playing Two-Face.
I loved Tommy Lee Jones as an over-the-top Two-Face.
Absolutely.
No, but why did he have to be over? Okay.
But I loved it.
Here it comes.
We'll assess it. Let's do the overall, and then we'll assess it.
Okay.
Jim Carrey is the Riddler.
Great.
Ludicrous Riddler.
I think every character in that movie, the character they played, they did an amazing job. I even think Val Kilmer was a good Bruce Wayne. He was a good Batman. He wasn't the best, He wasn't the worst. He was decent, but I think every character in that movie was just good. But I think the overall tone, maybe not the story, but just the backdrop, it was all silly. It was all very...
I hated everything about it.
I hated the lighting more than anything. In all the scenes with Bruce Wayne, there's this really awkward lighting that'll just show his eyes or his lips or like...
The movie had a very awkward sexual.
I think
Seal played.
It was a weird "Kiss from a Rose" was a very weird theme song for a Batman movie. But I feel like Val Kilmer, and this is just my opinion. You guys obviously can disagree with me. I feel like Val Kilmer did a good job as a tortured Bruce Wayne, maybe a little over the top. But
he was very emotional in this one.
I think Batman Forever was a little over the top. But I enjoyed it. And maybe it's just biased for me because it was the first Batman movie I had ever seen in theaters, and I was like 6 years old at the time. But I don't remember hating it as much as everybody else does.
Go ahead, bad boy.
No, please do.
Save me for last.
I mean, I'll say this was the first movie that I realized Nicole Kidman can look good.
Oh, yeah. Chase Meridian.
Yes.
She's a very sexy therapist, and I would love to have her. As a
therapist.
Of
course.
Clearly, she's very good at assessing things.
Yes.
So, Cameron Diaz? No, Drew Barrymore. I'm sorry. Drew Barrymore was also in that movie. She was one of Two-Face's sidekicks.
Yeah.
One of
very
his,
small part.
Good and bad angels. But I actually remember Drew Barrymore was in that. But what I liked about the movie is certain aspects were very well done. The Nicole Kidman and Val Kilmer roles were, as I said, I hated the lighting, but there was something there between them that I did enjoy. And probably my favorite thing about the movie, top to bottom, was how stone cold businessman Val Kilmer could be when he was Bruce Wayne, and when Edward Nygma was trying to press for his invention, and Bruce Wayne's like, no, that's not a safe idea. We're a business, and you don't have your shit together.
I feel as though, and some people might argue with this, but I feel as though that the best portrayal of a Batman villain on screen, as far as movies go, is Jim Carrey as the Riddler. They picked the perfect guy to play the Riddler. And I don't care what version of the Riddler you got, Jim Carrey was just awesome. He maybe not in the intelligence department, but he in the whimsical and crazy department, he stole the show as the Riddler.
Well, I liked Jim Carrey's over the topness, if you will. But I guess my beef with the movie was that they didn't give him much to work with.
If their goal was to portray the most whimsically over the top Riddler they could,
well, okay,
they did a great job by hiring Jim Carrey.
Yeah, here's why I'm throwing in my not even 2 cents. I'm throwing in my whole goddamn paycheck into this right now. I'm going to start by saying my favorite part about the movie was Frank Gorshin. That's his name of Riddler. I'm happy this came up now.
Thank you.
The original 1960s Riddler was performed by Frank Gorshin. Phenomenal casting, and I feel that's what Jim Carrey was going for. Because at the time, Jim Carrey was new. He was still funky and fresh. He was funny.
It was his breakout role. Really,
he was great as Riddler. I believed him being this man so unbalanced and conniving. He wanted to be in control so bad he couldn't control himself. In a way, I loved it. We had the silly spandex costume with the orange hair, but at the same time, we had him in the suit when we wanted him. Great, phenomenal casting.
It worked for me.
It worked for me too. I loved it because yes, it was reminiscent of a bad, terrible Batman era from the '60s, but I just loved it. I feel it was great. Okay, I'm done now with what was good. Here's what was bad. But with Two-Face, I feel Riddler and Two-Face, Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey were trying to see who can be more giggly. I couldn't take Two-Face serious. So the whole time, he was just terrible. It was pathetic. He was being silly. I couldn't. I hated it. We didn't see a good side. We didn't see a bad side. We didn't see no imbalance between the Two-Face characters. I was hoping for.
I'm one of those people who I try to find the good in everything, especially cinematically. I try to find the good in everything, and watching Tommy Lee Jones play Two-Face just made me happy in so many ways. No. But I understand where you're coming from because it wasn't as dark and as visceral Two-Face as we would have liked to see.
I don't even care if it was dark or not. Two-Face is not a character. He was very, no pun intended, Two-Face was a very one-sided character in this film. He was just silly and ha-ha the whole time.
I did
His
enjoy
layer being half black and leathery and Hot Topic, and the other half being perfectly
I did
fine
enjoy
and
seeing
heavenly.
Drew Barrymore and Debbie Mazar play his split personality
Gorgeous
girls.
outfits.
But the one thing I really did enjoy about him was that he flipped the coin, and even if he didn't get the answer he wanted, even if he didn't get the result he wanted, he just flipped it again until he got the result he wanted. And I thought that was a very interesting take. Like, yes, he's Harvey Dent and Two-Face, so he flips a coin to determine whether or not he's going to carry out the actions he wants. But he's so insane and crazy that he'll just keep flipping it until he gets
Two-Face. Then he's not Two-Face.
until he gets the answer he wants. I looked at it as a Two-Face that was very evolved beyond the point of
So then he's no longer Two-Face.
flipping for justice.
Then he's no longer Two-Face.
But in his head, he's flipping for justice. But in reality,
no,
he's
not.
just
There's no element of justice. They didn't
he's
even
just in his head. It's justice. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel. I feel this movie,
Which is what you
was
have to
shit
do.
Because no. The reason why this movie was so crappy because the Burton films were so goddamn dark, especially with Returns. Returns was so dark and so grimy that Warner Brothers was like, yeah, no, we can't have another one of those films. Burton, get the fuck out of here. We're getting Bruckheimer all in this. We need you to make a much more brighter, happier film.
It was almost as if Gotham City had gone from Burton's like kind of old school picturesque type deal to Burton's. It almost changed to a very futuristic looking Gotham in the course
lights.
of
it was
one
Vegas
movie.
covered
It went
in
from
steam.
dark to lots of color.
But I'll say I will agree with you there because things got really crazy in Gotham. Like I feel like there really was that big of a time span between a Gotham from Returns and a Gotham from Batman Forever because you had all those colorful villains running around, all these super villains, and all these different gangs and all these different things that actually get addressed more in Batman and Robin. But in
Okay.
Batman Forever, you start to see all these really creepy face-painted people. Gotham is just graffitied and tagged, and
Gotham
whereas
looked great.
in Batman Returns, it felt just like a Metropolis
How did you
city.
guys, and this is one of the biggest differences between the movies, how did you feel from Tim Burton's just having Batman to Bruckheimer having Robin join in the mix? I mean, how did you feel about how they covered
A giant
Robin
man-child.
and Dick Grayson and the Flying Graysons? You know? I'm Batman! Harvey! Standing up in a crowd of people that was panicking, like nobody was going to hear you, but whatever.
But that moment was when you started to say, is this movie ridiculous or is this movie serious? Because their death scene was, I mean, for me as a young boy, I was like, oh my God, that's like I'm sad now. And
Wait, who's that scene?
The
Graysons.
The Graysons.
Oh, that was dramatic. I like
very-
how Two-Face was tied to that. That was great. I loved that.
I did like the story arc between Robin and Two-Face
Yes,
and how
that
Dick
added-
Grayson wanted to kill Two-Face and just the story between him and Batman saying, listen, if you do this, there's no going back. You kill him and nothing's going to change. You're just going to get darker and darker and darker. I did enjoy that little bit of a story. I felt it was the little hint of darkness that was missing.
And he just said that so he can get to kill Two-Face for himself at the end of the movie.
That's true, with all the
With
toy,
all of the coins,
all the
which was cool.
50-cent
But-
coins that he had.
Yeah, he just well, he this is Batman. Batman is always prepared. And there's
I
a
have to
pocket on the
say-
utility belt
Just
that has
full of
Kennedy
coins.
$50.
The explanation for why
That's why we don't see him no more, because he just harbored them all to kill Two-Face.
the explanation for Batman being able to do things that, like, okay, why is he able to do that? The explanation is, well, because he's Batman, and that's that, and I accept that. I'm just happy with that answer. Oh, he is Batman, and that's that.
As much as I love Batman, that argument pisses me off because I will justify it. I will spend all day and night justifying. How did he do that? All right, here's how he did it. All right.
He's Batman.
He is Batman. He'll always be Batman.
That's Nolan's excuse.
But,
Shut up.
But this is how it really happened. And I did like that Harvey, or Two-Face, did address that they knew each other prior. I mean,
True.
when he goes to flip the coin the last time, he was like, you are such a good friend, Bruce, or something like that. And flips the coin and tries to catch it.
Which is funny because we see Riddler losing his shit trying to figure out who the fuck Batman is. throughout the
Yes.
film too. And all this time, Two-Face knows apparently through that last scene. I'm happy you brought it up.
Don't kill him.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
won't learn nothing.
True, a lot of good one-liners, a lot of funny good one-liners.
It was a great movie for one-liners between all of the characters. In the
True,
movie.
it felt like they got the 1960s Batman, brought it into the 90s, just got glow sticks and repainted every single scene and threw it back on screen. That's all it was. That's all it was. I couldn't
I
stand
accept
forever.
that it wasn't the greatest Batman movie, but I also it finds itself somewhere in the middle. I think in terms of all the Batman movies ever made, it's in the middle.
I feel Forever was nothing but an excuse to completely erase and get rid of the Burton duo for Warner Brothers and DC.
Yeah,
That's all
I mean,
it was,
and
really.
not to get into it immediately, but this one wasn't as bad as the next one.
I guess we can segue. Yeah, I'm not saying Forever is worse than Batman and Robin.
Well,
but
apparently Robin comes after Forever, mathematically speaking. It's
yeah,
Batman
technically,
Forever,
yeah.
and then Batman and Robin.
Well, I mean, Batman is the Forever. It's like, okay, so we still have Batman. I mean, you have like
He's
a Batman
forever.
Batman still being forever, and Robin. Batman Begins. Like, you have Batman is forever from the moment they say Batman Forever. And we'll address how that's not true later on.
Batman Forever.
hearts.
Asterisk until further notice.
But
Until freak circus accidents.
let's just have at the end of the Batman will return in.
What if the Graysons died in a much more like funny way? Like what if like
Wait, if he played like Benny Hill music, as
yeah,
they died?
yeah, like what if it was lions who killed them? Like fell down the trapeze.
It would have been
You
funnier.
just have a woman in lingerie pop up, chase him around.
Well, no, I meant like let's just say like their equipment wasn't tampered with. Let's just say like Two-Face like I'm gonna let the lions out the second they fall in that fucking net. Like that would have been hysterical.
I think it's fair to say that you play any Batman scene in a movie to the Benny Hill theme, and it automatically becomes a comedy. Whatever he's
we have
doing
to
at the
do
time,
this. We
whether
have
it's
to do
disarming a
this.
bomb or trying to take down a supervillain, you play the Benny Hill theme, and it's just funny. I think that could have saved Schumacher's Batman.
Yeah,
Probably. Although, now we're about to address how this movie really... It's hard to save this one, I gotta say. This is where you have Uma Thurman, who is not the best-looking woman, but I certainly was fine
As
with everything
Poison
she showed.
Ivy,
She was...
she was sexy.
She was something else, man.
Uma Thurman.
I'm the only one who's not. I even as a young boy discovering like how to react to attractive women at that point.
I'll say this.
I couldn't. No. I
As a
didn't get
young
it.
boy, I didn't particularly care. But now, as an adult, looking at Uma Thurman's career and looking at everything she's done in the past, she was pretty sexy as Poison. I know some people might argue that in Kill Bill, she was.
Nah, that movie A Big Toe.
she was on
scene
fire.
Completely turned me off.
But she was at her sexiest, and this is not the debate we're having, but she was at her sexiest in Batman and Robin. But
I agree.
hey, we're all entitled to our own opinion. Bob, you might feel differently.
That green skin tight outfit. You're gonna tell me
Yeah.
you didn't like seeing
I was
Uma
more-
Thurman's camel toe?
What camel toe? What are you talking
I was
about?
more
There was
upset
nothing
with the portrayal of Bane than
Yes,
anything
yes,
else
that-
than I was with Poison Ivy.
yeah,
Poison Ivy, I feel like, was okay.
Are we talking about arousal still, or are we talking about
because I saw.
just enjoyment?
Well, that was
Fitz
the
got
only
very
time.
aroused when Bane came on.
That was the
screen,
only
so-
time Poison Ivy was portrayed on the big screen. So I feel like she didn't have anything else to
No, yeah,
really
she
compare
was-
to. She didn't have anything else to
'cause
live up to. It was her own take on
In
it.
respect for the movie, Poison Ivy. I mean, I guess you can say ever since she was demonstrated in
was so
like, all the
90s.
way from the comics till today, she always has this sexiness, this seductiveness.
Oh man, if you
She's the forbidden fruit.
I know
Poison
you've
Ivy.
played the Arkham games, and
God
they
bless
do a
that,
very good
that,
job
that
with making
interpretation.
her
Oh my God,
look
yes,
very good, even
Big
in
fan.
the this 3D video game format.
Yes, but what's they did right? They made Poison Ivy.
Guys, we're
this,
perverts.
We are dropping
three-
the elbow. All right, that's all. We are dropping the elbow on all things sports and entertainment,
And
okay?
that entertains us quite a bit.
yes, that it does.
I would drop my elbow, but That was the only thing they got right. The only thing the movie got right was just making Poison Ivy a sexy, seductive character. That's it. Now Bane. Bane was nothing but this giant retard covered in veins on screen with a gimp mask. I feel Uma Thurman went back. Here's what happened. Uma Thurman went back to the Pulp Fiction universe, grabbed the gimp, juiced him up, and threw him on screen. Boom.
That's a good theory.
Yeah. Like it was so stupid. I hated Bane's interpretation.
And we're not gonna get into it this week, but which is why I very much enjoyed Chris Nolan's portrayal of Bane in Dark Knight. Not because it was a great movie, but because
I just want to get that out real quick.
But because Bane actually was intelligent, like he normally is in most Batman.
Not really. When we get to that movie, I'll break down why Bane is the worst terrorist of all time.
Well, okay,
super
but you know what I mean. Like he doesn't just grunt; he speaks. He has thoughts for himself.
Yeah, he sounds like Sean Connery in a gas mask. Yeah,
and I'm happy with that. I
Doesn't
like
take
Sean
much to
Connery,
please you, Birdman.
and gas masks are okay. I don't have a particular.
But the movie was overall garbage. Everybody could agree. Bat nipples, neon lights, the motorcycle racing scene, Batgirl, Alfred. Just
that movie.
was wrong.
I have to point out
my God.
that a lot of people associated with that movie have, and especially Joel Schumacher. He's gone on record saying that movie was. It was rushed out by the studio.
It was nothing but a giant toy commercial.
It was very toy-oriented. It was based on selling merchandise.
Every time they were done, I heard him quote, every time they finished filming a scene or they were done using a prop, they would either photocopy it, make some sort of mold or whatever, and they would just shoot it to the toy company. Which, by the way, I bought so much fucking merchandise for the movie because I was little. I didn't know any better. I saw Mr. Freeze.
I still have the full Batcave from Batman Forever, but I have a bunch of action figures.
Set.
I have a bunch of action figures from Batman
I
and
thought
Robin
Mr.
as well.
Freeze looked so cool, but I mean, like nowadays, it was everything. Oh my gosh, Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Enjoyable out of context, but in context,
hysterical.
It was a little like, okay, you picked him?
Batman and Robin
Victor
is the
Freeze?
greatest stoner flick of all time.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can watch that film and enjoy it.
You bring up a really good point. And I hate to endorse drug use, but it is the truth. It is one of the greatest stoner flicks of all time.
It really is. Like, let's kick some ice. We'll kill the dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
The Ice
Age. It was so bad.
I mean, in this
Whole
movie,
day in hell.
there were a lot of great one-liners from Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're absolutely ridiculous. Overall, this movie is bad. There's no way to save it. But there's a lot of funny stuff in this movie. Excuse me.
There's a slip scene, a slip sound.
Yes, they add the banana, the banana split.
The banana peel slip.
Yes. That they have the Christmas Without Santa Claus playing, and he's in his Arnold Schwarzenegger is his layers singing "I'm Mr. White Christmas."
I was like, come on, sing.
Yeah, he has all of his
I think that was
henchmen.
the one line in the entire film where it wasn't ice pun. If I'm not mistaken. Holy shit.
Freezing
hell, Batman.
Every so often, my brother will just send that clip to me for no reason, and every time it gets me because it's so ridiculous.
Like my mom will tell me, "Bubba, don't do the dishes." Freezing hell, Batman.
There's Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl.
Oh, she was borderline retarded in that movie. She had no idea what the hell she was doing.
Absolutely.
Of all the freaking characters with bat nipples, they didn't put it on her.
However, we did see her bad booty. They did.
We
show
also
the bad
saw
booty.
Clooney crotch as well as Robin's.
I'm
codpiece.
completely okay if you're gonna show me Silverstone bad booty, I'll look at Clooney crotch. Okay.
True.
Because even though the cape flies over it pretty quickly, she's got a nice little rear end, and in leather. Believe me, it was worth watching the movie for. And she played a necessary evil to get. To basically create the story the way they wanted to and to end it the way they wanted to against Poison Ivy and whatnot because, she was seductive. The only thing that I really cannot stand about this movie, and that's saying a lot because there's plenty to hate, the thing that I hate the most is after Poison Ivy kisses Robin and says, something, basically tells him, well, now you're going to die. And he goes, oh, no, I'm not going to die because I have rubber lips. And he pulls them off and he had no intention on doing anything from that point. If you had the rubber lips, you had the element of surprise, why didn't you get the upper hand on her? You still lost the fight. You had her. She didn't even realize what your plan was.
Plan a fucking Robin bomb, something.
She thought you were dead. She looked at you, she was like, oh, sorry, Robin. Well, you're about to die now. And he's like, oh, you know what's even better? That I have rubber lips and I'm not going to die. Instead of doing something, why wouldn't you just do something? Do anything. Wrap her up in bat wire. Whatever the hell you're going to do. You had a plan. You fucked it up. And thank God Alicia Silverstone came down with her amazing bat booty to save your ass.
She does have an amazing bat booty.
We did just mention that.
And even worse, to capitalize on that, when she falls into the giant plant, I remember watching that scene later in the future, not remembering the dialogue. I'm like, you know what? If she says curses right now, this scene will be shit. And then I look, curses! And then she gets eaten. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was very Batman comic book ish. I do want to point out that I think the saving grace of this movie was the relationship, the culmination of the relationship between Batman
and Alfred.
Exactly.
Yeah,
thank you.
I remember watching that as a small child, seeing Alfred dying. I was like, oh, no.
He's the only thing that connects all four movies. He's the only actor really. I mean, Jim Gordon.
Chief O'Hara.
Yeah, he was.
You never see Jim Gordon. You always see Chief O'Hara. Played by the same guy.
He was always in those movies, but Alfred to me was the heart of all those movies, especially in the final one, like you brought up with Alfred possibly having to die.
Yeah, some random terminal illness.
But I thought that was the heart of the movie. Just seeing,
it really was.
I thought that was George Clooney's best bit in the movie was going with Alfred and acting with him, and it was just the most human part of the movie. It was the least comic book-esque thing that you could pick out of that movie, I think, because then you had them dressing up and you saw bat nipples and
the bat card, don't leave the cave without it.
Yeah, and it was the human emotion in it to me was really
that little element, that little tear tugger was pretty significant. Even now and then I look at it and like you see Alfred all decrepit in bed and he's like, Batman, Bruce, just do your fucking
But
shit.
as I said, that's me. I try to, because I watch a lot of movies, I try to pick out the good so that I can justify having watched the movie. And to me, that was the best part.
Here's where I think I see myself. I lived long enough to become the villain. Oh, too soon. I think, hate me, go ahead. Fuck you guys. I don't agree with anything you've said so far. But I think George Clooney, in my opinion, played one of the best Bruce Waynes.
He was, I agree.
I loved him as Bruce
George
Wayne.
Clooney, I think, was a good Bruce Wayne. I think he was a terrible Batman.
Terrible Batman. I thought he was great as Bruce Wayne.
I agree. I have to point out that Bob Kane, the creator of Batman,
no, he wasn't. Go on.
Went on. Well,
sorry. Go on.
He went on record saying that his favorite and most he thought the best portrayal of Bruce Wayne rather was Val Kilmer's interpretation. Which I kind of agree with, sort of. I see what he's talking about. But I feel like George Clooney did a pretty darn good Bruce Wayne too. I just hated his Batman. Because I feel like he didn't change at all when he went. He just put on a mask and he was still George Clooney, Bruce Wayne in a mask.
Exactly. Like George Clooney left the cave and he's like, fuck, do I really got to put on this cowl?
He's gone on record stating that he did a bad job.
He's banned.
I've heard him say that, and I appreciate the fact that he can own up to it.
Like, he's been banned from Comic-Con or, like, comic book conventions because of how bad that was. So was Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
Schumacher, too.
I don't know how true it is that Schumacher says he was under pressure from the studios and he was under pressure for merchandising and toys and all that.
Well, that's because because Forever bounced back. Because the first Batman movie, the Burton's first Batman, financial boom, Returns, didn't meet the same as the first Batman. Then Forever came back. They made more, and they're like, fuck it. Run with it.
Exactly.
Schumacher.
It was all about the money and the merchandising. And
that's all it was.
It's safe to say that this version of Batman, this movie, and it's a true fact, it halted any Batman cinematic productions for quite some time. This movie came out in 1998. The next Batman movie to be made was in 2005. It was Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, which hopefully we'll hit on in our next podcast if I'm lucky enough to be a part of it. But it kind of just put a halt on all superhero movies. I mean, nothing really. 98, the only other thing that came out, that was Marvel, and it was Blade. But DC,
Great.
DC didn't see another. I don't think it saw another movie until Batman Begins.
I'm trying to think whether any other DC.
You know,
yeah, no, because that movie.
2005, and thank God for Christopher Nolan for reigniting the spark.
Bringing it back, saving and lamenting the Batman name. So as much as I hate that trilogy, it was much better than Forever and Batman and Robin put together. But
it was.
It like that movie was so bad they refused. To
I got to be honest.
I
can't wait to hear your take on the Nolan trilogy because you said you hated it.
Till then,
but we'll get to it, I imagine. But it's very interesting for me to hear your take.
You will be here
on the Chris Nolan trilogy because I for one enjoyed most of it, but that's another time.
Till then,
it's another place, another time.
Of course.
So that was our take on the first batch of the Batman movies. We will be addressing the Nolan trilogy in another edition of the Bobcast. Until then, I am the bad boy. With me is Bob,
the Eater of Worlds, and with us tonight, thank you so much for coming,
is the Birdman.
And hopefully Birdman will join us again when we talk about the Nolan trilogy, and we will touch on the Daredevil series as well. Thank you for listening to us, and have a good night.